Hello and welcome to Never Heard It, the show where I review classic albums that I never got around to listening to. And this week I brought along a friend. He is a music producer, rapper, visual artist, and music engineer. His latest album, Y'all Still Ain't Washing Your Hands, is available on his Bandcamp page. A bunch of other remix albums that he's made within the last year. There's too many to name, so just go check him out. He is also one of my favorite music producers. Don't tell anybody this because I have a lot of producer friends, so we'll just keep this between me and you. but he's one of my favorites. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Theory Hazit. What's up?
Man, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's been a while. How you feel?
I'm feeling really good, man.
Yeah.
Just, loving life and staying out here creating. I keep it moving.
So we're just gonna jump right into the album. We're talking about Capone N Noreaga's debut album, The War Report. So just to start out, first question I have to ask: why is it that you've never heard this album?
I want to say it's because of the East Coast, West Coast beef. And, I just really was counting on a strong response from the East Coast. And I wasn't really getting one. And they were the only ones that really respond to the East Coast, West Coast beef. So that's why, and I slept on it. I heard their response to New York, New York. New York, New York by the Dog Pound, by the way, which is like misunderstood because originally it was a tribute. Yeah. And then, after they were shot at in New York, they went back and made some changes to their video.
Yeah, but like if you go back and look at that video, it's not that bad. Like there's one scene where Snoop is kicking over a building, so that happens, and then there's one where they step on a car. And that's like literally, it's like a 5-minute song, and that's literally all that really happens. Other than that,
but it was still a disrespect because you had corrupt sitting on buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I never saw it. Like I saw it as like Godzilla or something. Like it never really seemed like a diss to me. But I don't know. Maybe it's because like I heard the album when it came out, and if you just listen to the song, there's no. Yeah. It's obviously like a homage to Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. It's when you just listen to the song. When you see the video, I guess you can add that onto it, but it just never felt like a diss to me.
Yeah, nah. When I first heard it, it didn't sound. It was just sound like a dope song. I was just like, oh, this is that beat that Biggie was rapping to in the St. Ives commercial. And so like when I heard like Capone and Noriega respond, I immediately jumped on because I saw like some Mobb Deep affiliation attached to it, and Intelligent Hoodlum was on the track too, and Marley Marl, I believe, had a remix. I even bought that maxi single, and I was just like kind of like let down by hearing the other single, the B-side of the single, which I believe it was Stick You. And I like the beats. The beats just gave me this Mobb Deep feel, you know what I'm saying? And it's real New York. I love that part, but I just couldn't get past the dominant monotone voice of like Noriega, how it was just like, it was a little nasally and it was a bunch of what, and I'm just like, man, come on, man. Like, I mean, like, I couldn't relate. Like, it didn't have it didn't have that feeling where it actually grabbed me like a Prodigy voice, a Nas or a Rakim voice, like that classic New York that I was used to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like these are the only dudes that's like responding to like New York, New York. You know what I'm saying? And I was just I was just like, yes, Havoc's rapping. And I'm like, but that's it? Oh man. Oh man. Like,
it's weird. Like to me, like that song doesn't even directly sound like a diss song, really.
Nah.
For the most part, they're not. Like I think like Tragedy had some lyrics that were kind of going at them, but barely. And then Havoc has some lyrics possibly, But like, it
Yeah.
was never like, it wasn't no Vaseline level. Like, if you're
Right.
gonna diss somebody, diss somebody.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing of like Prodigy's verse being taken off, or like he got taken off, and he put that verse on Nas's album, Real Nigga Rap. That's
Oh
that
yeah.
verse.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah. Yeah.
verse
A
it
lot
was
of people
supposed to
rap.
be
Uh,
on. That's the verse. In which, I mean, even in that verse, he said something about going from JFK to LAX, something like that. But it's still not like super. It didn't sound like he was really, really going at him. So I don't know.
yeah. Oh man. Now it's
Yeah,
coming to me now. Like, oh man.
yeah, it's
No wonder I like that song so much. Cause
yeah.
I know that joint, like that's like my favorite joint on It Was Written, besides like Nas Is Coming, but that's my favorite joint.
Yeah,
Especially Havoc. He's like, why you rapping? I'm busy trying to sneak the gat in. Contaminate. Cut the party short while you jamming. Yes.
absolutely.
Oh man. All right. Yes.
All right. So back to the album. So was there anything on this album that you any standout tracks?
Man, I would say Driver's Seat. Driver's Seat. It stands out to me because I'm very familiar with the Noriega album. Nore, and that sounded like a prequel to the song that he has with Spliff Star and Busta Rhymes. A Legal Life is a standout track to me because of it feels like Hell on Earth, Mobb Deep. You know what I'm saying? It was during that time, so
Yeah.
It just the beat is so dark. I love it. I don't know if I'm just in a moment in my life where I just like dark beats, because I've been like making that kind of style of stuff, like just kind of dark. But it just sounds wicked. It just sounds. And it's just Nori with his distinct voice, and then you got like Havoc on the track, you got Tragedy Gaddafi on there, and to me they sound like a super group.
This is basically a 3-man group, even though it's named Capone N Noreaga. Tragedy is pretty much the third member of the group.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, on this album, Tragedy appears on it more than Capone, because Capone was, in jail for a lot of it. So Tragedy actually appears on it more than Capone does.
Yeah.
But the entire sound of this album, like, I was convinced that Havoc produced like half of this album. He gets credit for drum programming on Illegal Life, but aside from that, like, he didn't produce anything. But everything sounds even like the way the snare hits, the tick 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 that he always uses is in practically every song. But I'm not sure, it all sounds exactly like Havoc, and I was so surprised that he didn't produce anything on this.
It definitely sounds like Mobb Deep. I got Trife Life 2 vibes. Top of New York, even though that was a single, I like Noriega more on that song. It feels like he was more present. Maybe it's because the beat was slower. Most of the content was the same, but in this particular song, it was kind of like them saying they've arrived, and they're the new kings of New York. And you're right, Tragedy Gaddafi was just all over it. When I first heard that, I was just like, why is he on here? Like, why is he on here, man? Like, but like, he was very instrumental to like all of that, Queens. Queens rap.
I mean, he was kind of a junior member of the Juice Crew. Like, he goes like way back.
I always wondered why MOP was not like on a remix or something, because that beat says MOP to me, like, but that beat is just so huge, and it was just like, it was very impactful to me, still is, and that's why I feel very bad that I never heard this album. Like, it's a part of that reason. because they were like, there's Jay, there's Biggie, there's Nas, we're us. Like, we here too. Like, and it's like a line that Cannabis says on a Lost Boys album, Beats from the East. He says, I make you question any and everything you ever believed in. That's how Top of New York made me feel. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, like, because he's like, you know, Noriega, F you and your weak religion. I'm like, goes back to that Cannabis line. I make you question any and everything you ever believed. I was just like, yo, it's so potent the way they carried themselves, like on that track. And I just wish that what I've heard from this album was like that.
As far as like Noriega's rapping, like I think he sounds more he sounds like he's really rapping on this album. Like not that he doesn't rap later on, but like, and he's a little more silly. He's a little more jovial. Like he's not. It's a little more what in his later raps. But on this album, he sounds like he's really like taking his time writing out verses. I don't know if that's because like Capone wasn't there with him, so he felt like he really had to put on or what. But there was something about this album where he like it sounded like he's really working hard.
Well, that was a dark time. It was really like live street stuff like happening during that time in the 90s. That was scary. That was Brooklyn and Queens beefing, you know.
Yeah, but also just like Queens just in general, like it seemed like everybody was beefing at that time.
Yeah, people in Queens were beefing.
Yeah, I remember on Stillmatic when Nas was like, "We got to destroy," like that song where he's just like, "Guys, we gotta stop all of this," and he's just like going at everybody.
I mean, I could talk about that song too, but they were so divided, and maybe that's why I was discouraged from like listening to this album, you know, because I didn't see anyone else like responding to the East. Like, I mean, they kind of was like separately, but nobody was like doing it together. You got like Two of America's Most Wanted by Tupac and Snoop. You got California Love. That was Cube and them. You know what I'm saying? I can be all day on the West Coast, but like, Biggie would like have little hints here and there.
Well, he supposedly like wrote a song actually dissing Tupac, but Puffy wouldn't let him put it out.
Okay.
Or he discouraged him from doing it.
I mean, I'm a little torn too. I got mixed emotions because like I respect the East for that, you know, for MCs like that. That's just like, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, make that famous. You know, I'm gonna mind my business and, you know, put out the energy that I want to put out. But I would hear it here and there, you know, those indirect shots of Tupac.
So-called beef with you know who?
Yeah. Right. Man, what else? I didn't hear Jay-Z respond.
Yeah, I mean, well, Prodigy, part of the reason why he dissed Jay-Z is because he said, you know, he didn't respond when, you know, Snoop Dogg was dissing him. Like that was part of the reason why he was dissing Jay-Z. He was like, all these other people responded, but you didn't. You're supposed to be the king, but you didn't. So
this is what I got out of Capone N Noreaga album, that these dudes was 10 toes down and they was riders. You know what I'm saying? Tragedy Gaddafi. They was riding. You know what I'm saying? They put that on themselves. They the ones that stepped up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I'll always have respect for them for that. But I would just like to hear. I wanted more. I wanted more out of them.
Yeah.
You know, out of what I've heard before. And that's why I slept on it. You know what I'm saying?
So overall, like, what is your general feeling about the album? Is it?
My overall feeling about the album, it's a great album. It's a classic album. I say classic because of that time period. They were in the thick of it. You know, they were a part of the tension. You know what I'm saying? You know, they did get the West Coast to respond to that. It was very impactful. It led to a Nori and Corrupt collaboration. You know, it led to a Capone and Daz album. You know what I'm saying? It catapulted their careers for real. Like, it's almost like if that didn't happen, no one would know about this album. I don't know, in my opinion, because like I like Cormega and check for Cormega stuff because of Nas, because of the firm affiliation. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't check for, you know, Cormega. You know, somebody, I would have to go to New York and somebody have to put me on like, yo, you ain't never heard of Cormega? Like, he a real street dude, you know what I'm saying? Like,
this album, I feel like on the surface, it's a really solid album. But like when you kind of go into the history of it and what it does, it kind of, I don't know, it feels a little weird because on the song Halfway Thugs, it's a Prodigy diss. Like the whole song, like there's a line where Noriega says, "Yo, the only one 16th alphabet, your power counterfeit, fraudulent." So 16th alphabet is P. So this whole verse was about going in Prodigy, but yet Havoc is on this album. So how are you going to diss Prodigy and have Havoc on the album? And why did Havoc appear on the album? It just feels
I feel
like a lot of it feels weird to me.
Well, they released collaborations with Tupac and Snoop, even when they weren't agreeing with each other. Even when like Pac passed, even when they was beefing and Pac was alive and the Dogfather, I think the Dogfather was out, right? You know, there was still a hint of Tupac on the album, even though they was beefing. We couldn't tell. And I just think that, like most collectives that are a musical family, they fight. You know what I'm saying? And I got more insight on that by, you know, listening to the Prodigy's audiobook and just hearing the back and forth with Tragedy and Noriega and, you know, from fist fights and girls and shootouts.
This group is weird because the song Halfway Thugs is a diss, but then like a couple years later, Nori puts out a song called Halfway Thugs Part 2, and he's dissing Tragedy Gaddafi. So like it felt like they were constantly, like Queens MCs were like constantly beefing like this entire time. So weird.
They're very vulnerable, you know. They're open with each other, they're around each other all the time. And you see the Drink Champs interview, you know, where Tragedy Gaddafi was on there. They kind of got into it on that. You know, it's just like inviting your older brother on your show. You know, they really are brothers. They are. If you notice their relationship, they're critiquing each other harder than they would do anyone else. You know, it's because they family. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Very dysfunctional. And like I was saying in the beginning, they were divided. Yeah. And the same with the Queens joint. They had like a cipher on there, The Bridge, with like Nation and Nas, Nori. I think Mobb Deep was on that too. They was all like rhyming to like the bridge beat. It was like an improved version of that beat.
Yeah.
And same problems even then. Yeah.
Yes. It's weird times.
Yeah.
And wrapping up, anything else you want to talk about? Any new projects coming out?
I do have I have a lot coming out, but like I don't even know what I could talk about. But so I'm just gonna say it. I have a new album in the works with Crumb. We released Here's Mud in Your Eye in 2019, and he was rhyming over my beats, and he got like guest artists on there. This album is like me rhyming over his beats. ESPN sports commentator Chris Broussard, he's releasing a project, and I'm doing like all the beats for that. So they're like these spoken word mini sermons type of feel, you know what I'm saying? But every song is treated, every joint track is treated like a song, even though it has a spoken word feel to it. So there's like scratches, there's beat drops, and you know, it's different. I'm about to release a deluxe version of Y'all Still Not Washing Your Hands. Videos about to come out for that. That's
cool.
what's next.
Yeah, we'll be on the lookout for that. So, and wrapping up, have you guys out there heard the War Report? Are you still bumping it to this day? I'm going to keep talking about albums until we run out. Until then, we are two guys on the internet that don't know everything. Peace.